Think about higher education. When someone gets a degree, it doesn't just benefit them, it also benefits society by creating a more skilled workforce and driving innovation. But without financial support, fewer people might pursue college, leading to underproduction of this socially valuable good. Subsidies, like grants or tuition aid, can encourage more participation and correct this market failure. In this video, we'll model how subsidies work and how they fix underproduction caused by external benefits. To solve the problem of a positive externality, I'm going to show you one potential solution, and that's to subsidize the good that has this positive external benefit. A subsidy is going to be a payment made by the government for those who make a specific choice. So you can think of this as just a reverse tax. Instead of taxing and taking away money for the purchase of a unit of this good, we're going to pay, the government's going to actually pay money, a fixed amount of money per unit consumed of that good to the buyers, okay? So just like with taxes, it doesn't matter who gets the subsidy, either the buyer or the seller, outcomes are gonna be exactly the same. The benefits of subsidies are then going to be divided between sellers and buyers based on the elasticities of supply and demand. So this is going to be like the incidence of the subsidy of who gains from it. And now I'm going to show you how a subsidy is going to work in terms of those outcomes in the market. All right, so we're going to do the market for childcare. We have the price of childcare on this y-axis and the quantity of childcare on the x-axis. So this is going to be in millions of children in childcare. We have a demand for childcare and a supply of childcare. Okay. The equilibrium in the market without a subsidy, pre-subsidy, will be right there. Supply crosses demand. We'll get an equilibrium price of $10,000 a year for childcare, and we'll get 13 million children in childcare in that equilibrium. Now the government's going to subsidize childcare, and they're going to make a payment to each child who is in childcare of $3,000 per year. So that's the subsidy per unit. So the government pays a per unit subsidy of $3,000. And so we're going to shift a curve here. Let's say we're going to pay this to the buyer. We're going to shift the demand curve. Okay. The government's going to write a check to the buyer. And so the idea here is that this $10,000 at the equilibrium at 13 million children, this is going to be the maximum willingness to pay for that 13th marginal child, $10,000. And so now you're going to get a check in the mail for $3,000 if you put your child into childcare. And so now it's going to be that $10,000 out of pocket plus $3,000 that you get from the government. So your maximum willingness to pay. So to the childcare provider is going to be the 10,000 height of the demand curve plus the 3,000 that subsidy. And so we'll put a dot up here. Right? That's going to be that vertical distance is going to be $3,000, the amount of that subsidy. And so we do that for every single line, especially every single point on the demand curve. And we're just going to shift up our demand curve here, like so, by $3,000. And this is going to be demand plus subsidy. So the demand after the subsidy. So we can find our equilibrium now after the subsidy by taking our original supply curve, the new demand curve with the subsidy. We can put in a dot there and we'll get our equilibrium with subsidy right there. We can come down and get our quantity. Say our quantity is 15, so this would be quantity subsidy. This would be quantity star market without subsidy. And we can see subsidy is going to make something essentially going to be cheaper here. And so we're going to increase quantity. One effect of a subsidy is to make people want to buy more of this thing when you subsidize it by writing a check for it. All right, prices, what's going on with our prices? So again, we take our quantity subsidy 15 and we'll take it up to the original demand curve and the original supply curve. If we take it up to the original demand curve, that'll be crossing right there, like so. And then let's take this price line over. And now this is going to be, let's say $9,000. And this is going to be price buyers pay after subsidy. So it's cheaper. A subsidy is going to make the price of this thing go down for the buyer by $1,000. That's what's making them want to buy more. It's cheaper. Okay. Now the seller, take our quantity 15 up to the original supply curve right there. Price line over, and let's say this is $12,000. And this is going to be price seller receives after subsidy. Okay. So also the seller gets a higher price than they did before, about $2,000 after the government starts subsidizing this thing. Okay. So if the buyer's only paying $9,000 out of pocket, the seller is going to keep $12,000. What's going on? Well, the difference, that $3,000 difference there, that's what's coming from the government. And so what actually is going to happen is the buyer is going to write a check for $12,000 to the supplier, but then they're going to receive a $3,000 check back from the government. And so the buyer's out-of-pocket cost is really only $9,000, even though they have to write a check to the child care facility for $12,000. Okay, so buyers are going to benefit. So that they used to have out-of-pocket costs of $10,000, and now they only have out-of-pocket costs of $9,000, and we also have some more people that are going to be in childcare. Great. So we're going to use these subsidies to solve the positive externality problem. And the key part you want to think about this is it's going to make it cheaper for buyers to get the good that you're subsidizing, and it's going to induce them on their own private self-interest to try to get more quantity as well. So we'll boost production by subsidizing something. All right, so now we're back to this positive externality problem. On the left, we have our flu vaccine market. Price of a flu vaccine, quantity of flu vaccines. We have our demand curve for flu vaccine. That's going to be our private marginal benefit. This is going to be the value to you of not getting sick yourself when you get the vaccine. Well, the supply of vaccines, this is going to be the marginal cost of production. And then we'll have our marginal external benefit. This will be the benefits to other people from you getting vaccinated because you're less likely to give it to them. So if we add in your own value of not getting sick plus the value to the other people of you not giving them the sickness, we have our social marginal benefit up here. And so we can find real quick the quantity in the market. Q markets, where supply crosses demand. We can come over here and get price market, like so. Right. But this is going to be not enough production. So if we want the efficient amount, we want social marginal benefits times this crossing the supply curve, taking into account those marginal external benefits. And so we'll get Q efficient out here. And this will be the price efficient. But we're never going to see this price in this graph. All right. So what we have here is markets are going to underproduce, and that's how we can see that underproduction. Okay, great. So that's a problem. We have a deadweight loss here. That's not good. We need to get rid of that deadweight loss. And so one solution is to subsidize flu vaccines to make them cheaper so people want to get more of them to increase our quantity out from here out to our quantity efficient. Okay. All right, so let's say this marginal external benefit is something like $10. So we would want to fix this with a subsidy given to the buyers, the person getting the flu vaccine. The government's going to write them a check for $10 to get this subsidy or get this flu vaccine. And so now the willingness to pay for a flu vaccine is shifted up by $10. So this is going to be the corrective subsidy equals $10 from that payment from the government. And so we can now add in our demand, private willingness to pay, private marginal benefit. Now it's going to be shifted up by the amount of that subsidy. And we can shift up that for everything. And so we now have our social, back that up. We now have our demand plus subsidy line, like so. So now, what's going to be the market outcome? Well, this was it before, Q market. Here's our market price. Now, after the subsidy, here's our subsidy equilibrium with subsidy. And we're going to get our quantity subsidy. Okay, so our quantity subsidy then is going to be higher than our quantity market. And we've now increased our quantity to get rid of it. So the key here is that our corrective subsidy is $10. That's exactly the same as the marginal external benefit. And so our quantity subsidy should be equal to our quantity efficient. And we have solved the positive externality problem. And private markets, once you subsidize them, will give you the efficient amount. And so we've internalized those external benefits. This is a market-based solution to fix that positive externality problem of underproduction.